Live stream. Then I have to remember to like flip out of this because there's the lag time, drives me crazy. Two screens. All right, here we go. Starting on time. Because I don't really think many people will be coming. Next Wednesday, December, I think it's the 4th. Um, we'll be doing one. Trying to figure out the topic. It's probably going to be anxiety and depression is not what you think, and why anti-anxiety and anti-depression drugs really don't work. It's going to be a fun talk. So today I was going to talk about how to beat anger. Why do people get angry? And the holidays make it worse, right? Because a lot of people have depression around the holidays. And anxiety and depression, and a lot of it will be fear. There'll be fear, and but then there are also a lot of anger because you see other people having a better holiday. Families are getting together, whatever it happens to be, and you're not doing it. So what's going on, right, with this? It is there's a one way to look at it. When you look at anger, and we'll start with anger, um, the sense of loss makes it worse. And at the holidays, it's very easy to more focus on the loss, whether you lost a loved one, you lost friends, whatever happens, right? You lost material things, whatever happens. So then you start getting angry because, somehow then you think that this will help. Because for a lot of people, anger is there to motivate you through fear, right? That's why you start getting that anger response. What happens again, this is your brain, this is your brain stem, this would be your frontal cortex. And on the inside, this little thumb bent over would be your, I should do it with this hand, would be your midbrain, right? And so what happens when you get, afraid, right? This part of your brain goes boom, right? And you're activated in this fear mode, which is survival mechanism, fight, flight. And then to get you to take action, it'll flip it over into being angry, right? So you're angry. So, and that's to focus, especially if it's a fear you can't attack, right? So these things happen, but then, then it becomes generalized. And, yesterday I gave a talk at an addiction center and said, well, and the bad part to watch is the fact that anger can become addictive, it has to do with dopamine, right? Yeah, I get angry. And how many people know someone who's just angry? They're just angry, right? They live angry. And anger, that kind of anger kills the person with the anger, right? They're much more likely to have, health issues and everything else. So what's really going on? Why does this happen? Well, a way to look at it is this, and a way to overcome, when you have anger in your life, is what begins to happen is we think that whatever's going on is happening basically to you, right? And in fact, whatever it is, you say it's happening to you, where it just happened, and then it's your response. But that's easier said than done, right? So, but what begins to happen is, especially people who get angry at, what happens is you're attributing their behavior to a malicious intent, I guess you'd say, use the legal term, right? And so you're like, you're doing this to upset me, or you're doing this to get this response, where they may be oblivious to it, right? And so what happens is you want to focus through that, but what this is a normal response, right? And so you see malicious intent, which will ripple over into your whole life, right? Where you see these things everywhere because your brain, can only process so much information. So if you're focused on malicious intent or evil things or bad things, that's all you're going to notice in the world, right? Your brain takes the millions of bits, drops it down to a little over about 100, they say, I don't know, but that you can really only pay attention to 7 or so. But so you'll notice the things that upset you, right? Um, and it feeds that loop, which also gets the dopamine cycle going, right? So somebody cuts you off, it's because they're trying to piss you off. They cut you off because they're just things, and you attribute their behavior to it's their personality. It's a character trait. It's a personality trait. It's a character trait. It's just who they are. Now, what's interesting about this is, and I'll keep it brief today, it's called the fundamental attribution error, right? And what's a fundamental attribution error? You can tell I've been studying a lot again. But the fundamental attribution error is, especially in this context, is again, something happens that has negative effect on you. You attribute their negative behavior, at least from your viewpoint, as it's their character, it's their personality, and they're doing it to hurt you. So that's the fundamental attribution error. Because if you do the same behavior, use the example of you get cut off on the highway, it's because that person's an asshole, and they're doing this to just upset people. And you'll say, and then you'll generalize that out, right? But when you do it, if you inadvertently cut somebody off or do something, right, you'll say it's because of circumstances, and so it's kind of funny that you'll do the other person is because it's who they are, but if you do the same behavior, it's because of the circumstances, right? I was at a store, and I watched somebody like get really angry with one of the people working there over something. And of course, and again, the way you think, man, that person's just, they're just a bad person, right? And then a few minutes later, I was doing something, I asked somebody, and I didn't get the response twice from 2 different people. And I started getting angry. And because I knew I was going to talk about this, I'm like, damn, I do it. But see, I didn't do it because I'm a bad person. I did it because I was frustrated. So I'll give myself some slack, right? So this is the fundamental attribution error, which most people fall into. You give yourself this, right? It's almost like, a lot of talk lately is on standards and disciplines. Do you have a high standard? Do you hold yourself to a high standard? Do you have discipline, right? And again, the fundamental attribution error will come into play where, you see this a lot with managers or business owners or parents, right? They'll have this standard, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that, and they'll hold the people to it. Their employees, the people they're managing, or their kids or whatever. They have this standard. Right? But then when they don't do it, and if the people that are doing it don't do it, they'll dress them down because they're, somehow doing it on purpose. But if you don't hit that standard, like parent yelling at the kid about making the bed, but you didn't make your bed this morning, it's because I was running late. Right? So you'll give yourself some slack. And this is especially true on holding, your standards of discipline. Right? And so it's just kind of interesting to think about, because, in some of the really good leadership courses, they say you can't hold people to a standard you're not willing to do yourself. Right? That's engaged leadership, as they'd say in the military. I'm not saying you can't do it as well as these people. If you're a 35-year-old, sergeant major, you probably can't run as fast as that 21-year-old. But you can make yourself do the activities, right? So that's the whole thing. And that's why standards and discipline break down, right? It's because it's not applied evenly. A place I've done some stuff recently, that was the big problem. They supposedly have these standards and they were going to use discipline, but it wasn't set across the board. And so, it made me realize, again, it's because, and then they would have a reason why they didn't. Oh, we're understaffed, this is going on. But if it's a standard, then it's a standard. So this kind of ties into 2 more points I want to make. Then I'll just knock it off. It's a holiday. And you see this with people that work out, right? Because I'm just rambling today, but there's made me wonder. There's, let's say, two people join a gym, right? And the demographics are equalized. Men or women, doesn't matter, but about the same age, about the same health, to the best of, their metabolism's pretty close, right? So they start working out. They join a gym, they start working out. Let's say they work out together. So they're equalizing their workouts. I mean, they're both, they're using pretty much the same weights. They're doing the same routine, right? And you see them a year later, right? And the one of the people looks great. They look like they work out. They have the muscle. They have this. They look like they work out, right? And they're trim. They've lost weight. They're just, they have the look. And the other person doesn't. They may have put on some muscle, but actually they may look a little thicker, right? And so you begin to wonder, well, was the workout different? Was the one guy working out more? Was this or that, right? Well, and then of course it goes back to this mindset of standards, because there's two types of people when it comes to this. There's people that go to the gym and work or do any kind of workout. And then when, let's say Thanksgiving's tomorrow, as I'm recording this today. So they go to Thanksgiving dinner and they go, because I go to the gym, I'm not going to blow my whole diet. I'm not going to go for 4 desserts. I'm not going to go for the 3rd plate, whatever it is, right? And so they say, because I go to the gym, I will not do this. Okay. But then you have a lot of people that they go to the gym so they can do that. So they'll overeat. Well, I go to the gym, so it's okay if I overeat. I go to the gym, so it's okay if I have, 3 desserts. And then, of course, they may flip into, maybe in their 20s they could do that, or their teens, of course. But anyway, so when people do this, it's like I go there so I won't do this other stuff. And then I'll remind myself, well, I go to the gym to work out. I'm not going to blow it all with the 4th serving or the whatever it is, right? Or the people that I go there, this gives me the permission to do that, right? And I see this across the board in a lot of other things, I go to recovery meetings, so I don't go into places I don't need to go, right? Good times and good people do not need alcohol to have a good time. So I don't go there, right? In the recovery world, they always link it back to playmates and playpens, right? So, so when you're making a choice, right? If you go to the gym, do you use that as an excuse to allow you to eat like crap, right? As opposed to, I go to the gym, so you know what? I'm more cognizant of what I'm eating or when I'm eating or whatever, things like that, right? So you want to begin to really focus on, again, it's how you're looking at the world, right? And then the last thing I want to talk about is it's holiday season. So why not try to live in a state of pronoia? No, it's the opposite of paranoia. It's pronoia, right? Which in paranoia, you're thinking everyone's out with malicious intent. The government's watching me, this, and this, right? And if you go back to, how you look at the world, if you want to be happy, to tie in the holidays, even if things are going on, the happy people think, how can I use this to my, what good's going to come out of this? How can I use this? What is this teaching me? They have a positive thing. And what if you take it one step further? If you think everybody you come across, there's a secret conspiracy. I like conspiracy theories because they're usually proven true, as we're finding out. But what if the conspiracy is the universe is conspiring to make you happy? The universe is conspiring to give you your dreams and desires, right? And so if you begin to take that, you get this pronoia. So you're like, yes, the universe is there to help me. Now there may be lessons along the way, right? And you may have to take action. Maybe that's the lesson you got to learn. It's like you could join the best gym in your town, but if you don't go there, I don't think you're going to get in shape. And yet then people go, the gym doesn't work. And you start talking to them, they never go. So anyway, apply that right? Apply the uh, the conspiracy theory that the universe is conspiring to make you happy, to make you healthy, to give you whatever it is that you're trying to go toward, right? Right now, it may not seem it, but how many times in your life that something wasn't going the way you wanted and you end up, where you want to be in a different way. So have some fun with that, right? So again, don't do the fundamental attribution error where, again, you think people don't hit the standard, they're hurting you, or bad things are happening, and they're doing it just to do it to you, right? But when you end up doing the same behavior, it's because you have a reason, right? So you give yourself some slack, right? So which is it? And my last thing, yeah, keeping about 15 minutes, is kind of do me one favor, since we're going into the holiday season here in America, with Thanksgiving tomorrow, and then the Christmas season for a lot of the world. And there's other religious holidays coming up. What if you begin to what if your standard, apply this standard, is that I'm going to do better. You can do better. When you look at yourself, you can do better. Not in a bad way, but you could do better, right? And so I want to be better. I want to be better. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better psychologist and trainer and speaker. Definitely want to be a better actor, right? And so if that becomes your mindset, what can you do to get there, right? What actions can you take? And whatever it is, husband, wife, son, daughter, parent, child, friend, right? And I've been thinking that one lately about how to be a better friend. So anyway, that's just something I wanted to throw out there, have some fun. And I think that's it. So if you have any question, let me know. And I shall talk to everyone soon next week. I think we will do anxiety and depression is not what you think. Anti-anxiety and depression drugs really don't work. I'm not supposed to say that part out loud, but let's have some fun with it. Have a great day.